You are listening to Proof Text, a Glossa House podcast exploring Scripture and all things related to it. New episodes are released daily. For more information, check out glossahouse.com and subscribe to our channels on Spotify and YouTube. Welcome and enjoy.
Hello, I'm Fred Long. This is an episode of GrammarPoint, and we're looking at purpose constructions. This is the second episode. Okay, so last time we talked about constructions, which is one or more words. And when you have more than one option to convey some kind of idea, then you have the possibility of different construals. And so there's a kind of a saying there that choice implies meaning. I like to talk about constructions convey construal. Construal is a particular view of the event that is looking at it from a certain angle, and communication is about construal. We're very good about construal, and we need to pay attention to what's construed, what's implied, the implicature of what is being communicated. So last time we looked at purpose constructions involving some kind of clause or setup that is a means that leads to some kind of goal or end. And then it's important once we recognize these to begin asking questions about, how does the means produce the goal? What about the goal and the way that it's described informs the means? This kind of goes back and forth. You can ask all kinds of questions. So we looked at Matthew 5, 16, and 17. These are great verses, by the way, because the first verse 16 describes a goal, a purpose that is marked manner. It's marked purpose with a manner that talks about us being light. We as God's people being light, and this leads to people seeing and then glorifying the Father. So seeing our good deeds. And by the way, there is stress on us. Like, these are our good deeds, fronted genitive. We need to take ownership of these good deeds. But that's not the goal. The ultimate goal, there's kind of a two-stage goal. Seeing, which is really important. I mean, people need evidence that there are good people in the world. And then when they also are reflecting the light, that they're also being directed to glorify God. I mean, that's God the Father. This is ultimately just wonderful. That's what it's about, right? Is people glorifying God. So then we saw the next verse, which is Jesus is coming to for a certain purpose. He came, elthon, not one thing, not to abolish, but to fulfill. And so here we have another type of construction which involves a verb of motion, and then that leads to with an infinitive. So verb of motion with infinitive. I'm kind of misspelling that, but you get it. Verb of motion with an infinitive to express means to end. Now, many grammars, good number, will describe different types of constructions. So Smythe's Greek grammar for colleges shows different constructions. They sent a herald to announce. So here the means is sent, and then the goal is to announce. Okay, so there's the means and end. And that's really always important, right? To notice that this construction involves a means to an end. So what are these? And to identify these. So they sent an herald to announce, and then Smythe goes on to talk about different constructions. You got ina or opos with the subjunctive. You got a relative pronoun with a future indicative. So they sent a herald who will announce. Okay, so that's kind of interesting that you can have a relative pronoun be involved in the construction to form a purpose clause. Also, there's a future participle. Now, this is pretty rare in Greek, but you do have about 10 instances of future participles, and they kind of construe purpose. Now, I don't think they're strongly marked, but we'll look at that. We'll start to compare these constructions. Classically, you could use the connector os with the future participle. I mean, obviously, this os is adding a kind of marking, and we'd have to understand what that os is doing. Right? Os is a little marker, usually of approximation, right? So there is maybe some less certainty with this kind of construction. We'd have to look at that. What does the addition of os do? How is that construing the situation differently? And then you do have just the infinitive alone, or an article with an infinitive. So this is indeed the case. You can have just infinitive or sometimes an articular infinitive. These are two options for expressing a purpose clause. Now, which one is more prominent or marked? I mean, obviously, I would say the one with the to is more marked, right? Because you're adding another word, like it takes more space. And then you have a construction preposition with the article. So here you have uper. In New Testament Greek, we have isto with the infinitive. You got prosto. These are proston. These are often learned as constructions that can indicate purpose. So here we have, they use uper with the genitive article and the infinitive. So osta is typically result, and that's a little bit, that's different. So result, what's the difference between result and purpose clauses? Or purpose clauses can also be called final clauses. Well, the difference is that with final or purpose clauses, intentionality is important. Intentionality is involved. Some agent has an intention for something to be brought about into existence. Now that's different than a result clause. So a result clause is when something happens as a consequence, there may or may not be intention behind it. In fact, if you're using this construction, you're not construing it for intention. You're just simply construing it as an effect that is results. So there's some cause, some basis, and then something happens. So again, construal is important even when differentiating purpose and result clauses. Again, with purpose clauses, the construal is some kind of intentionality. With result clauses, that's not in the picture, in the construal or in the events. All that is happening or construed is that there was a cause and there was an effect that happened. All right. Well, we're going to stop there and we'll continue working through this paper and thinking about purpose constructions. Talk to you next time.
Interested in growing your ancient language skills but not sure where to start? Glossa House can help. From illustrated readers and short stories to lexicons and grammars, Glossa House offers a variety of resources for beginning, intermediate, and experienced ancient language learners. Head to glossahouse.com today. Glossa House, language resources for the global community.